our chief guest, CS Adan Mohamed, our host, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Professor Mbithi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I will keep it brief. As a ministry, we started engaging in the Nairobi Innovation Week as a strategic partner and chose to champion the startup agenda. So in 2016, we identified 10 startups who pitched at the event and continued to get support and to be nurtured by various partners. In 2017, we selected 24 startups who again went through the same process where we exposed them to showcase their innovation, and they also got a lot of support from the partners who were in the event through the linkages that were created in the event. In 2018, we have taken the challenge to identify the 100 most promising startups. And I'm pleased to say that out of an application of over 300 startups, we have been able to select 100 startups who will be showcased at the Innovation Week. And really our objective as a ministry is to drive the commercialization of this innovation that will be showcased during the Innovation Week. Now, the key objectives of the NIW Startups program is really to create a to-go-to platform to discover these high potential startups and be able to nurture them, commercialize them so that they can effectively contribute to our development. We also have another objective to attract the right investors and facilitate linkages between these startups and the investors. So how did we do it? We started creating an ecosystem to support the startups. We identified startup enablers across the country, and we have so far identified over 50 innovation hubs, accelerators, workspaces who have been engaging through the private sector to support these startups. And we worked with them and constituted working groups to identify, create a criteria for the selection of these startups. And maybe I should call upon now one of the representatives of the key working groups that led the selection criteria for the identification of the 100 startups to take us through the highlights of these 100 startups, and we'll be able to get a feel of where the sectors they fall under. Thank you very much.
Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Industrialization, Trade and Cooperative, Honorable Adan Mohamed, VC, University of Nairobi, Professor Peter Mbithi, Chair, Nairobi Innovation Week, Dr. Tonny Omwansa, Nairobi Innovation Week sponsors, Nairobi Innovation Week Secretariat, and all guests present. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Victor Otieno. I'm research Director Research and Innovation at Wild International, an organization that supports SMEs through training, coaching, and consultancy. As Flora has mentioned, we formed part of the criteria and evaluation of the applicants, and I was privileged to be one of the co-conveners of the particular working group. So in terms of our responsibility, the working group membership was drawn from a majority of players in the ecosystem. These are, as Flora has mentioned, hubs, accelerator programs, and working spaces. So all of them were coming in as volunteers to help in the process. So in terms of mandate, the group had an oversight mandate to the Nairobi Innovation Week, specifically charged with overseeing the startup and eligibility and evaluation process, ensuring that the process was fair and inclusive. Evaluation of startups, judging metrics, recruiting and training of judges. In terms of the judging process, the deadline was 31st January, from which we received slightly over 350 applications, which were judged at a first level and administrative level, bringing them down to 183. So the second level judging was done based on the following criteria: customer problem, value proposition, underlying magic, revenue tested and or envisaged, opportunity size, competitive landscape, customer acquisition channel and growth plans, team composition, market traction, secondary achievement, and projections. So each applicant was judged by at least 2 judges to ensure fairness in the process, and each judge was supposed to declare conflict of interest, if any, before taking on any single application. So similarly, the working group recruited judges who are also being recruited on a voluntary basis and were drawn from players and stakeholders in the startup ecosystem. Judges' profile varied from angel investors, institutional investors, various professionals, business incubators, and accelerators. Finally, on my behalf and on behalf of the Nairobi Innovation Week Working Group members working on various tasks, we would like to extend our appreciation and a big thank you to the Nairobi Innovation Week 2018 leadership for striving to have an inclusive process that has incorporated ecosystem players, especially from the SME support sector, such as ourselves. Thank you very much. I would like to invite John Kieti, who would give an elaborate process in terms of way forward.
Thank you, Florence, and thank you, Victor, for helping with this program. The chief guests, the Cabinet Secretary, the Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi, distinguished guests, thank you for this opportunity to see our 100 most promising startups. Now that you have that list there, of course, the question will be, what next? What are we going to be doing next? We have 2.5 weeks to the Nairobi Innovation Week. So what will be happening is all those startups will be supported by the various ecosystem players, ranging from IBIS, Africa, NILAB, iHub, and many other organizations, about 35 organizations that have volunteered to support these startups to help improve their pitch to investors and to customers. So in the next 2 weeks, these startups will be going through training and coaching so that when the Nairobi Innovation Week starts, that's about on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which is 5th to 7th, we'll be having each one of those startups presenting to panels of judges who may also include investors, so that we know who are the category winners for each one of those categories. That's between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And these are the categories such as agriculture and food security, health and life sciences, education and employability, and so on and so forth. Some of those categories have an award in terms of, for instance, the health and life sciences category has an award of $10,000, which is about $1 million. From Vilgro, and we hope that now that we've started this way, come 2019, we'll have all the categories with some kind of an award from the various interested players in that sector. So after that, after Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, when we'll know the category winners for the 10 categories, we'll go ahead to the Thursday of the Nairobi Innovation Week, where we'll have selected the 15 most promising startups out of these 100 that you have in the list. And these 15 most promising startups will go through a fairly intense coaching and training boot camp on that Thursday, in preparation to make the final pitch on Friday the 9th of March. And on that Friday, that's when we'll know who are the 15 most promising startups, and among them, who are the award winners for the various prizes that have been given. So in a nutshell, those are going to be our next steps, and we're looking forward to having the NIW.startups platform to be a platform that attracts many entrepreneurs, so that come 2019 and every subsequent years, we can be able to identify and all of us discover who are the most promising startups and be able to support them in various ways, such as through funding, through training and coaching and mentorship, and various ways that could help them to grow into very, very high growth businesses. I think that was my brief. I'd like to invite Tonny to continue the program.
All right, so we're now very clear how we got to the 100 startups. One of the things that we want to do as part of Nairobi Innovation Week is to champion the agenda of startups at national level, and then position the country as a place where innovative startups are emerging from. Of course, that will need some capacity building. Identification and discovering them is one thing, and then some capacity building and support will be provided. And so that's one of the legacy we want to leave behind as part of Nairobi Innovation Week. So it's therefore my honor to invite the Vice Chancellor of University of Nairobi, Professor Peter Mbithi. He has consistently, and passionately supported this agenda as his defining pillar of his leadership since he took office, and we are here to support that agenda through his leadership. Vice Chancellor.
CS Adan Mohamed, our good friend and a friend of this university, our strategic partners, university management, the University of Nairobi Innovation Week Secretariat, members of the Fourth Estate, for whom we are here. This main reason, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the University of Nairobi this morning. My great pleasure, and I sincerely thank you for coming and for expressing your interest in partnering with us for the Nairobi Innovation Week 2018. As I've said before, together we will build our innovation ecosystem centered here and spread throughout the country, our region, and across the globe. May I then, first of all, appreciate and recognize our strategic partners and sponsors who are here today, starting with our CS, Adan Mohamed, Minister of Industry, Trade, and Cooperatives, the Minister of ICT, the Minister of Education, the Finnish Embassy, UNICEF, African Development Bank, I Choose Life, NetFad, IITA, GIZ, Vilgro, National Research Fund, University of Nairobi Alumni Office, IBM, and Israeli Embassy. In addition, we appreciate and recognize over 20 other partners who are supporting this year's Nairobi Innovation Week in kind. Again, we are grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nairobi Innovation Week is now in its fourth year. Over the years, we have seen tremendous results of our efforts to build a global forum here in Nairobi. We now have many local and national partners converging here in Nairobi to be part of this success. We appreciate your enormous contributions in supporting research activities, commercialization, and scale-up of startups, and above all, creating an enabling policy environment for innovation. The final details of the fourth Nairobi Innovation Week are now finalized and are as follows. There will be 100 startup pitches between the 5th and the 9th of March 2018. There are over 50 side events, most of which will take place in the University of Nairobi Towers between the 5th and the 8th of March. The side events range from breakfast meetings, workshops, boot camps, seminars, among others. These side events have been organized by over 20 different partners. The official opening ceremony will be held on the 7th of March. On the March 8th, we will have the International Women's Day, where UNESCO will lead an effort to celebrate and energize young women in technology. March 9th is our Startups Day, where 15 most promising startups will pitch in front of an audience of investors, startup enablers, and partners. The whole program is now available on the website www.innovationweek.co.ke, and we should be able to reach out and see what's going on. What about exhibitions? There will be more than 100 exhibitors from local and national community that will showcase the innovative work from Monday, the 5th to 9th of March. Most of the booths are now taken. If anyone must rush, they should do so immediately. It is our hope, Bwana CS and ladies and gentlemen, that delegates will get value for their time, that they will see, engage, learn, and build new partnerships. We believe that this forum will continue to influence and shape our policy environment and inspire new and current entrepreneurs, strengthen the skills of our partners, our faculty, staff, and students to build more human-centric innovations. To afford the state or the media, we are happy for you. We thank you for being here. We hope that you will have plenty to report on. 5 days of conversation and exhibitions will definitely generate plenty of content that we will all be proud of. Please be proactive in engaging us and our partners, as well as our startups, in highlighting and showcasing the good and progressive contribution of our talented community. I want to thank all of you very much for coming and for being part of this great movement. God bless you, and God bless our country, Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor of the university, colleagues from ministry who are here today, sponsors who are making this event a wonderful annual event by putting resources behind it. Of course, the university itself for hosting this event now for 4th year running. I think before I go into the business of the day, I just want to say how delighted I am to be back at a place where many of us started in acquiring the basic minimum requirements to get into work life. This is home. This is a place where we studied many years back, and it's always refreshing to look back at the memories of what this university has been able to do. And I'm very excited and pleased to hear from the Vice Chancellor that the student population now is in excess of 85,000 students, University of Nairobi. I think when we started, it was probably less than 10% of that. And it just shows the opportunity that this university is creating for people, for our citizens and young men and women to prosper and to develop. And so may those who are coming after us also make their own contributions in different ways to this university. The Nairobi Innovation Week, as the VC has mentioned, is one program that has been now going on for about 4 years now, if you include this year's event. When it started, I think many people had mixed feelings about what exactly is this, but it's now becoming an annual event where a lot of entrepreneurs are looking forward to in making their innovation ideas known, and to provide that platform on an annual basis, to provide the awareness and attract more people every year is something that we are very happy about in terms of university's contribution. The increased number of people who are interested to participate is a very positive indication of the success that this program continues to have as we go forward. I understand that 100 companies have been identified and shortlisted out of very many others, and out of that, as the VC mentioned, 15 of them would win some interesting awards to take their business ideas to the next level. And so it is a program that we support fully as government. It's one that we would like to continue to build on so that some of the challenges that we have in our country, especially around young people not being able to find work, this is the solution that in the long term will take us out of the problems of unemployment that we have. And the more businesses that start up, the more people that embrace this idea of creating wealth by developing businesses for themselves is something that I'm very confident that will drive the agenda going forward. And, you know, many people think that big businesses create jobs and do many other things. I think that is really far from the truth. Big jobs create big revenues, but in terms of job creations, the contribution is much, much smaller than many people think. For every 10 jobs that are created in our country today, between 8 and 9 of those are created by small businesses. And those are small businesses that started out of an activity like the Nairobi Innovation Week, where concepts are dreamt, they are tested, you get support from different sources, and the business becomes alive and you are able to get going. And whether it is employing 5 people or 2 people or is a husband and wife and a son and a daughter, you are making it possible for people of this country to do a meaningful income generating activity to actually thrive going forward. One of the biggest gaps that we've had in the past is not leveraging some of our capabilities within the country effectively. And universities in our country create a lot of academic ideas, you know, things that they teach, things that they basically say you need to do. But University of Nairobi, I think, has gone beyond that to the next step of actually practicing and bringing some of those academic learnings into practice. And I think as government, we need to leverage on this technical capacity that we have in a lot of our institutions to actually support a lot of the activities that we have in our country. So I look forward to seeing more activities where our institutions of higher learning are deployed to support any of the development activities that we are doing. Whether you are talking about infrastructure development, supporting entrepreneurship, small businesses that are coming up, we would like to see how universities and other institutions of higher learning can participate in bringing some of the ideas that are taught in classes into practice. And I'm sure the 100 people who would be showcasing some of the ideas would require some mentors, some support program for people to handhold them. And I'm grateful the university and some of the other stakeholders who are putting not only financial resources, but also time of their staff is something that is much, much appreciated. This year, as a ministry, for example, we are planning to train and support at least 5,000 entrepreneurs, small businesses in some targeted sectors that are very labor intensive and going to create jobs for a lot of our young people. And that is going to be across the country, and we want to make sure that that program succeeds. And this is one of the many other initiatives that are ongoing, and we need many programs. Whichever part of the country these initiatives of supporting small businesses are done, we will welcome, we will embrace, because the idea is to actually drive our country forward. You know, the unemployment rate today is extremely high. We have programs in place to actually support a lot of these issues, and it's through programs like this that we can work together and deal with some of the challenges that we have. So I guess today is just to launch this program in preparation for the March week of the Innovation Week that we will be hosting here in University of Nairobi. And to the sponsors, I want to say a big thank you. Continue to support. It's an important initiative. To the university, both the management as well as the academic staff, we would like you to do a lot more and continue to support this. To other institutions that are not doing these kind of things, we will welcome. similar initiatives that we can partner with as government institutions to actually drive this. So, Vice Chancellor, I just want to thank you personally and your team for the leadership that you have portrayed. I know this program started entirely within your tenure and your leadership, and we will support you to make sure that this program is recognized, becomes a program that many people want to identify with, and we look forward to seeing you sometimes in the first week of March when this program, this week, is going to be showcasing some of the innovation that a lot of our young people have. So with those many remarks, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Come in big numbers in March during the Innovation Week to see, to hear, to learn from what a lot of our young entrepreneurs are able to showcase. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, CS, and thank you for also the leadership of the Vice Chancellor. I think now with that kind of endorsement and support, we're on our way forward. Now, we've got over 10 different organizations in this audience that in one way or another are contributing towards Innovation Week. So we're going to do a short ceremony of about 5 of them. And I'm going to invite you to come with your dummy check. I'll give you a mic. You greet the people, and you take a photo. And I'm going to invite the Vice Chancellor as well, because he's a custodian of this initiative. So to start with...
Innovation Week is that we as I Choose Life Africa focus on accelerating the country to achieve SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the ways of doing this is to use an approach that's called the quadrohelix approach. In other countries, it's used the triple helix approach, where you bring together the government, the industry, business sector, the academia, together towards supporting SMEs and other innovations to be able to accelerate their development. You know, I travel to Sweden every year, and Sweden is known as one of the countries that's the second most innovative country in the world, and they do that using their acceleration of development. As I Choose Life Africa, we focus on the youth. We reach about 1 million young people every year, and one way we do this is by economically empowering them. So we are very happy to work with the University of Nairobi towards the Nairobi Innovation Week. And we will actually be having one side event called the Quadrohelix Summit that will be on Thursday, March the 8th. And you're all welcome, so we can look at how we can accelerate the innovation ecosystem in the country. So I'm very happy to give a small contribution towards that day. Thank you.
Why don't you play an
Thanks.
What about the Waziri one?
Okay. So we'll take the photos quickly, and then we will have our remarks in a little while.
How are we? You okay? Thank you. Thank you.
All right. If Vilgro are here, if you're not, I call upon the University of Nairobi Alumni Office. I understand the alumni really are passionate about their background. They are really very, I'm really sorry to interrupt. We will take another photo in that background.
Good morning. I was given a minute, and I think I've exhausted it in the salutation. But in brief, National Research Fund is a state agency within the Ministry of Education. We are under the State Department of University Education. We were established by the Science, Technology, and Innovation Act. Our core mandate is to support research and innovations, and purposely that is why we are here. We are so delighted to be part of this program, and it's good news for those who have not known National Research Fund, and I think this is a good platform that we are able to come and showcase what we have done in terms of innovations, which are meant to move our nation forward in terms of the socioeconomic development. We have a number of programs. We fund research I'm sure those who are aware, there's a call, we made the call last financial year, and the current financial year, the call is closing on Friday. And purposely for this event, we have a side event on 8th of March. I would extend an invitation to all funding agencies, research and innovation funding agencies, to attend that important breakfast meeting whereby we are going to put our heads together on how we can raise the funding, because our target is to raise the research fund to 2% GDP, which cannot come from the government alone. The government has given seed funding of 3 billion Kenyan shillings, and the rest will have to come from us who are seated here. Thank you so much. I wish you well.
The chief guest, Honorable Adan Mohamed, the University of Nairobi VC, Professor Mbithi, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think for the reason why NetFund is supporting these is because we believe in changing the African narrative of poverty and of our dependence on natural resources. This has to be done through innovations. And that is why we are committed to support this initiative. And actually, I can say confidently that the 1 million we are giving this year is just to test the ground. We are more ready to bring in more funding. The other thing I need to mention is at NetFund, which is a National Environment Trust Fund. We are working closely with Treasury and the climate financing, and we are looking for opportunities, or we are trying to come up with an innovation fund, basically a fund that can give innovators kind of cheap loans to be able to advance their ideas. So once we move in that direction, we'll keep the discussion going. So thank you very much.
To our CS, the chief guest, our Vice Chancellor, other important guests present. It's a great pleasure for the University of Nairobi Alumni Association to sponsor this event. It's our third time we are sponsoring it, but we promise that the next time we will be called upon to sponsor, we will do it in a bigger way. We are becoming more innovative. We are coming in with new ideas, and we thank our Vice Chancellor. We'll always support the events which are called. Innovation is a great idea. You can't move on without innovation. Anything, even the pen I have in my hand is an innovation. So we have to look at who are the innovators, how can they move on, and the University of Nairobi, which generates knowledge, and with 85,000 students, you can imagine if any one of them, about 85,000 innovators. How would Kenya be? So through innovation, we are going to achieve sustainable development. We are going to be better. Our country, we only not look for our university, but our country will be a better country. So we thank you also for coming. As alumni, we'll work together with you in all the ways possible to make the innovation wing bigger. We have 100 pitches today. Next time, 2019, we hope to have 200, and all is possible. Through the alumni, we will be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest who has just left, the CS, Adan Mohamed, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Peter Mbithi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hamjambo. You know, when you have given out money like this, even if it did not come from your pocket, but you have seen it, know that there is money. And we can appreciate by putting together our hands for those who have donated. Thank you, thank you. Now, the Nairobi Innovation Week is a brainchild of our Vice Chancellor, and is making good progress. Like he told us, this is the fourth year it is running, and it's running very, very well. We appreciate the fact that you have come up with support in monetary terms, support in kind, and we are supporting this, and we wait for the time when, early next month, when the process begins. We are looking forward to welcoming you. But for those who have given us so much money, I've never seen so much money being given very early in the morning like that. Can we repeat the whole exercise again tomorrow morning? Let's try. But other than that, I want to say on behalf of our Vice Chancellor and the university, to thank everybody that has come, to thank everybody that is contributing, and we look forward for more participants next time. Thank you very much.